So I think third, if not fourth video of the night. Again, your boy the man NJ2TheCity. I never get tired of doing this. But this video ain't about politics. It's actually about giving the lovely young lady, Elizabeth Kitley, a shout out, who plays for Virginia Tech. She's a basketball player. She's phenomenal, and I would hope to God she gets drafted. And if I haven't said this enough before, women's athletics is absolutely 110% profitable. It's just you have to know how to, make a profit. You have to know how to market them, how to promote them. They're profitable. You just have to know how to promote them. And the reason why I say that is because if you study these college markets, a particular powerhouse, women's basketball powerhouses, let alone women's sports powerhouses, where they have fan bases that come out and support them in droves. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not hard to market and promote women's athletics because it's not hard to market and promote athletics in general. You just have to connect with the community and stop assuming that people are just going to come just because you're the only thing that's, out there on that night. That's what it is. You have to give people a reason to come and connect with the players, let alone a reason to come and connect to be a part of something, let alone to have fun. You have to give them reasons to connect. And I absolutely believe that once the WNBA realizes this, let alone even the National Women's Soccer League, who definitely gets, a few here and there, but they definitely get more going overseas, if I'm not mistaken. You have to study these markets. If you don't study these college markets and even high school markets, you're never going to be successful at organic grassroots marketing and promotion. It's not rocket science. If you literally just put, because that's one of the top things. The NPF, the National Pro Fast Pitch League, that's been failing forever, even though they're still alive, and so on. There's a reason why they've had expansion teams and then they had to disband those expansion teams because they don't know they have no long-term longevity, sustainability. And one of the top problems that I've seen with that is why does everybody keep on trying to take over the New York market, not knowing what the New York market demands of them to even be there? And that's one of the top things that I saw with softball. Guys, I don't know where the New York market is with softball, but if the New York market is not, if the New York market isn't, I want to say, if the New York market doesn't demand softball or doesn't have a need for softball or doesn't want softball, stop trying to put a softball team there just so you can say we're in the New York market. That's why you kept losing money and the Comets, if I'm not mistaken, New York Comets, New Jersey Comets, whatever, have been disbanded, etc. Because you can't just keep putting teams here, there, dare I say everywhere, and expecting it to flip profits when there's not a built-in established base there that cares. And that's one of the top reasons why so many NPF teams, have, came in, folded, came in, folded, came in, folded. The same thing with quite a few NBA teams. Came in, folded, if not just kept moving around from city to city to city for that exact reason. Because you don't have these built-in fan bases. No one comes to your games, and if they do, it's like a high school game to an extent. It depends on how big your stadium, your arena, your outside bleachers are, etc. It's almost like a high school game or a middle school game or whichever one you want to say, because every market, city, district, etc., is vitally different. Some support more than others, but you get the point. And I've seen that way too much. That's one of the top reasons why these leagues for women's athletics have not been able to consistently flip profits and grow at a consistent rate, to where they kept expanding year after year. And I mean expanded to not actually fold, but expand to actually grow because they didn't have a bought into fan base and almost nobody showed up. And if they did, it was, 2 out of 5 and so on. They didn't know what they was doing to flip a profit, and they just put teams here, put teams there, put teams everywhere, and pretended as if it was just gonna work just because it's the New York market and it's softball or it's basketball or it's whatever it was. You have to study the college markets. You have to study study the college market, study the high school market, study recruiting, study coaching, study coaches, study Who can help you build these foundations? And from athletic directors to booster clubs, I don't care, principals, you name the people. Get your support staff together, get your community leaders together, get your governors, your mayors, get people together and build these freaking bases for these teams, for these teams in these sports, so you can effectively go out there, market this stuff, promote it, people can buy into it, and you can actually move around as freely as you want to, expand as highly as you want to, and elevate, everywhere, etc. That's what the NPF needs to do. That's what women's lacrosse needs to do. That's what National Women's Soccer League needs to do. That's what every league needs to do. Now, National Women's Soccer League seems to be a tad bit more successful than all those I just named, but at the same time, they're not exempt either. They still need to do more to expand and grow. I wouldn't say to expand and grow the sport, because everyone knows about soccer, and I hate people saying expand and grow these sports like these sports just existed 5 years ago. No, they've been existing for decades, if not really forever, etc. So you got to realize that this is not fully about expanding and growing the sport. This is expanding and growing your audience that wants to watch that sport. That's what this is. And that's no offense, but if the leagues started thinking of it like that, of like, if you were the person to ask me, if they started thinking of this like, instead of trying to grow the sport, we're trying to grow and expand our base. We're trying to get people to buy into our products and actually want to watch us play. And let alone possibly like they are going to do with the XFL, try to market these players, stories and their come-ups, and so on and so on. If you do that stuff, trust me, no league will probably ever tank, will ever fail, unless you're doing career suicide with letting these people kneel, etc. Because most people, 9 out of 10, do not like that. I hate to say it, it's like kneel on your own time, if not, find a better way to protest, etc. We don't want to see that, and your business is going to die because of that, And especially if you are a league that doesn't have, it's already bought into base, let alone you're not already a powerhouse. That is super bad for a developmental startup league, or just a startup in general, professional league, to start letting players kneel and protest when people have already spoken. They don't want to see that. People have already spoken in droves, boycotting the NFL and the NBA, saying MSL and really any other, anybody that kneels in general, we don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. And that's also what I mean when I keep trying to say that it's so stupid, because if these athletes, and I don't, whether you're in high school, college, pro, these athletes, if they would ask these communities what they want to see for some authentic grassroots social justice change, then again, your business would have boomed, rather than just kneeling and pretending as if you're doing the right thing because you possibly want to be considered cool and trendy with everybody else, and yada, yada, yada. I mean, athletes of any grade level, let alone whether you're in college, or pro, again, ask your grassroots communities what you need to, what they want to see. What do you need to get involved in to make some real change? That's how you not only build a base, but that's how you build partnerships. That's how you build a brand. Let alone that's how you make and inspire real change. You do not inspire change at all by just kneeling, and you by kneeling by kneeling, thinking that people are just gonna generally accept that, when no, everybody got their own different opinions about that. But I think you totally understand what I'm saying, because it's not rocket science to totally understand. Dad say, don't kill your business before you start your business. Let alone if you are a powerhouse, don't kill your business and and wonder why you're going broke, and so on. And a lot of other ways I can put that, because at least for towards the last statement, because it's like, if you're a powerhouse, dare I say, keep growing into a powerhouse. Don't grow into a small house, or don't downsize. If you're a powerhouse, don't downsize into a small house, or a smaller house, because you're alienating your fans because they don't want to see you kneeling, etc. I mean, and there's so many other grassroots ways to protest police brutality if that's what you believe in. Athletes, find a way. Find a way. Find a way to, if that's what you, if you believe in police brutality, then you need to find a different way to voice it, a different way to protest it without kneeling on any field, any court, and I would even say, let alone on the job. But I don't really think that kneeling on the job is what has, at least for me, because some people say that's what they're pissed about. You're kneeling on the job, in other, jobs you wouldn't be able to do this. You'd be fired and yada yada yada. I don't really think that's why that many people are upset. It's more so you're kneeling because of a false narrative is what I think more people would probably agree with. You're kneeling on a, or dare I say, what's perceived to be a false narrative with police brutality. It all depends on what side of the aisle you fall on there, because some believe in police brutality, some don't. But as I think the most basic grassroots way to solve all these beefs and issues is just to connect with your grassroots everyday community on what to get involved with and how best to protest, you know, and so on. Because I don't really think that the fact that you're doing it on the job is really what got people, mad, even though they're going to tell you that's what they got them mad. But you know what? If you're watching this video and that's why you're mad they're doing it on the job, okay, okay. But for me, in my opinion, and what I believe, and from what I've studied, I don't think it's because they're kneeling on the job and you would get fired if you did this anywhere else on any other job. I think it's more so you're just mad that they're doing it, off a false narrative, and so on. They're doing it either off a false narrative or they're doing it being severely uneducated about, well, yeah, about police brutality, and unarmed black men being killed, etc. You know, I think that's why, because it's and so on, and it's quite something. But I definitely think, yeah, not only do your research, but please work with your grassroots community if you really want to inspire real change, and ask them what you need to do versus going out there on any platform and just kneeling like that. Trust me, it's definitely career suicide. It's definitely not worth it, and not everybody's going to be as forgiving as the next immediately towards it, and so on. And I think the players have to understand that, because players, I hate to tell you to just shut up and dribble, because I know that you have stories. I know you are a person. I know you feel things. And I know you have perspectives, But indeed, with me telling you this, that means, especially if you're an athlete and you hear this, what that means is then you need to, again, if you're going to be, bold enough to voice what you think, bold enough to voice what you believe, and try to be an activist, on or off the court, let alone on and off the court. The point there is you need to, again, do it grassroots. You need to be educated about what you're doing, and you need to have a built-in base that's already backing you, ready to support you amidst crossfire if any comes your way. Because the problem is a lot of you are severely uneducated about police brutality, severely uneducated about politics in general, severely uneducated about systemic racism, severely uneducated about a lot of social justice causes and problems. You're severely uneducated about it, and it's very evident and it's obvious every time you open your mouth like LeBron James. You are severely uneducated about it, and that's why a majority of people are looking at you like you're just following trends, to try to seem culturally appropriate and cool, and it really ain't cool. It just makes you look like a illiterate fool, etc. That wasn't just to make it rhyme. It literally is facts. You don't look cool trying to follow trends that you don't know, and so on. You don't. You really just embarrass yourself, and that's why I've been trying to tell people for a long time. If you're gonna follow trends for Jesus. Don't follow these blind eyed social justice trends. I think social justice can and is and or will be a good thing if it's off of basic grassroots issues that people can commonly agree with, and gun violence, of any sorts, let alone just gun violence and suicide and car crashes. There's a lot of social justice issues that we can all agree with, and and I think when social justice is negatively weaponized, that's when it becomes a cult rather than it becomes something that can unite and heal us all. And again, if you hear snoring in the background, that's my dog. So God bless. We'll come soon.